All right, so I'm going to go to my channel so I can click on this video. This is the second in the installment. Turning down the volume is so that I can see what's going on, but you guys don't have to hear the echo because it takes a second or so before it'll start doing anything. All right, now here's where we're at. It says, sending prayers, this is a nightmare. Savannah Manis Fletcher typed that. There's a lady named Carol Ann Bryce. She is one of my, I don't know if you call them stalkers, harassers, um, Natalie Bollinger's nut jobs, hangers on, whatever. You can give her whatever title you want, she can have it. Savannah Manis Fletcher wrote, did you guys look at that page? Jesus, this lady is really going at it, ain't she? Maybe she'll end up dinging us through the entire thing. Says, did you guys look at that page? There's a live video he made about it 18 hours ago, and I can't understand much of what he's talking about, but it's titled by her name and he's crying. I suppose I should show you that video too. There's a lot of stuff to show. A lot of stuff that, well, these web sleuth groups wanted to selectively ignore because it doesn't fit their bias. Amanda Charpentier. Oh, cosmetology. Imagine that. You got to be pretty superficial to care about makeup, in my personal opinion. But then again, it's just an opinion. She typed, I saw this as well. It was really creepy. So if a man defends himself, it's creepy. That's pretty screwed up. Um, Savannah Menace Fletcher wrote, I can tell he's mentally ill. You see how they do that? No matter what, if they call you mentally ill, it makes the things that they're doing okay. How these folks repeatedly use the term mentally ill as an excuse to justify the things that they have done to me and to outright pretend like I must be the bad guy because I was called mentally ill. It's pretty fucked up. Anyway, this lady wrote, I just feel like I can tell he's mentally ill. I just feel like he's trying way too hard to act like he isn't involved and he's more concerned. Therefore, in his hopes looking less suspicious, and which makes me more concerned. I don't know Natalie personally, just mutual friends. Keeping you guys in my thoughts, I can't imagine how her parents feel right now. They fucking celebrated. Her dad, at least. That was, well, a good thing for him because now he gets to avoid hefty prison sentences. Let's see. Now, this lady, this is obviously before they found her killer. This person wanted to make up a narrative. People do this all the time. They make up this narrative, but then they use it as an excuse to harm others. This is why slander and libel are against the law, especially if someone is being harmed, especially if the person being harmed is disabled. But then again, people don't care about that. What they see is a white, ugly person who is homeless. They see the person that their parents and our government teaches them to hate. Now, here's someone named Jody Miles. Jody Miles wrote, he didn't post yesterday at all, but every other day, lots. J. Melt wrote, he's not a suspect. Savannah Manis Fletcher typed, her mother stated hours ago that he was. Yeah, you know what? Her mother actually got on my Facebook and started calling me a stalker and accusing me of all sorts of shit. And apparently that is okay. If I do it back, it's wrong, but it's okay for her. That would be Rose. And Rose is a horrible excuse for a human being. She chose alcohol and abusive men over her own kids. You guys can see how this is a popularity contest pretty easy. See, this guy told the truth. I'm not a suspect. No likes. This lady gets some likes. Lovely. The more I was bashed, the more people liked it. It was a popularity contest from day one. Let's see. Um, Savannah Manis Fletcher wrote, and there's about 40 screenshots I've collected giving several reasons as to why he has motive. They literally just had court together and she just had a protective order against him. Well, that's not a valid reason for killing somebody. It's a good thing they caught the dude who did it, but it didn't stop people from doing harmful things to me over this repeated slander. I never stalked Natalie Bollinger. I did as she asked. I went to Virginia like she asked, and I left Virginia to get the fuck away from those goddamn junkies. And that should have been the end of it. There shouldn't have been a whole bunch of people like Tim Beeson and Matty Boa threatening, harassing, and spreading rumors the way that they did. It was horrible and still is because I still have to take the abuse and I have to be afraid to go to the police because I have to go to the jurisdictions where I was abused, to the departments that abused me, to ask them to please do their jobs. And obviously, if I try to get them to do their jobs, they're going to trump up charges, which they have done repeatedly, and they have repeatedly had to drop these charges because they were trumped up. But why did they bring the charges against me to begin with? Because I was trying to turn them in, and I'm not allowed to turn them in if there's charges against me. Imagine that. Now, the conversation that I had with the lady from the Nebraska Attorney General's office verifies that. Now, let's see. Bex Murray wrote, apparently, he didn't show up to court and she went missing the day before the court date. Holy shit. We've had like 5 different people already have a bunch of stuff that is incorrect. I mean, this is the probably the fourth or fifth one about her going missing and when she went missing, and it's all wrong. The court date was supposed to be on the 22nd of December. I didn't get paid until the 23rd of December, and I was dirt broke after being stolen from by Ken Wilson and Leah Plunkett. But they got away with those crimes because Natalie Bollinger was killed. I was forced into homelessness, and I have been victimized pretty well nonstop since then. If you destroy somebody's income, every day that they don't have that income is abuse. Now, she didn't disappear the day before court. Court was on the 22nd. She disappeared on the 28th. Imagine that. Let's see. Amanda Charpentier wrote, I don't know her, but I was following the missing persons post. It says, I don't know her, but I was following the missing persons post. I went and was looking at his Facebook page, and he talks about Natalie a lot. He rambles on about so much stuff. It's really creepy. I pray she is found and not harmed. Here's the thing. I'm speaking out about the abuse that I've had to take. And most of that abuse was because Natalie was too embarrassed to tell the truth. She didn't want to get in trouble for the things that she had done. She didn't think that she should have to have consequences like most women in America are taught. A woman is not to be held accountable. That would be wrong. Only men can be held accountable. Men need to be held accountable for what men do, and then men need to be held accountable for what women do, and that's not equality. If there is a single woman out there who wants to claim that she's fighting for equality, she needs to prove it. If it's okay for women, but it's not okay for men, it's not equality. And then Amanda sharpened here. She wrote, in one of his comments, he says, killing folks is dumb, self defense is not. Oh my God. That must make me a terrible person for saying it's okay to defend yourself. I must be a terrible person because I said killing folks is dumb. What a bunch of horse shit. Oh, 21 more replies to this one. Here's one from Amanda Sharpent here. She took a screenshot, of course. It says, I would say there is a 1% chance it's asshole looking for a fight. 2% chance Natalie shows. Now, this is the day that Natalie Bollinger, let me see. You guys can't see that, can you? I guess I gotta readjust the camera. Oh, there's a pencil in the way. This is December 16th. This is the day that I was supposed to go see Natalie. Natalie wanted to meet me, and this is in the morning um, before I was able to meet her. Now, you guys are going to be able to see that stuff too. See, these folks only grabbed the stuff that they wanted to twist and manipulate into something that it wasn't. Now, I posted this. Natalie wanted to meet me at Starbucks on Pearl Street. I let her know that I didn't feel comfortable. And of course, I'm going to show you all this stuff too. But this right here, this is 9:30 a.m. This is while I'm going to see Miss Natalie. I've walked 100 blocks. I messaged Natalie and told her that I walked 60 blocks. But then later on, when she messages some of the people that, like Tim Beeson, for example, his screenshots between her during this same time period show that she was outright lying to both of us, myself and Tim Beeson. She's telling us completely different stuff. Now, she wanted to meet with me to stop all the crazy, as she said. Well, all the crazy was because she couldn't stay off the goddamn drugs. It said, I would say there is a 1% chance it's asshole looking for a fight. By that, I meant Tim Beeson in specific in this situation. 2% Natalie chance that Natalie shows, which, well, those are very slim chances. 47% chance nobody shows, and 50% chance of cops show up instead. And I was right. 50% chance. And who showed up? Well, that would be Officer West of Boulder Sheriff's Department, or Boulder Police Department. I wrote, I am scared shitless of Natalie, but I can stand between an armed idiot and a stranger no problem. I hope for the best, but am fairly certain I am the only honest person left on earth. So they're trying to use this to pretend I'm some sort of a bad guy, whereas really it just shows that I was right. Now, obviously, since I was served on December 16th, there was no way for me to reschedule it. Let's go to the next picture. This one right here. It says I got my 50. That was referring to the one previously, where I said that it was 50% chance that it was the cops. I wrote, I got my 50. It was a restraining order from a woman who keeps sending people to assault me. Already blocked the two assholes who decided I was joking, but I kept their info just in case. Killing folks is dumb. Self-defense is not. So does that make me a bad person? Or are they going out of their way to twist it into something that it's not? Mind you, this is the bullshit that I have been repeatedly assaulted over. This is the stuff that has had people repeatedly threatening me and assaulting me in real life. This stuff right here, the spreading of the slander, and the fact that the news didn't care about my side. They were fine with spreading the slander because it's a good story. Meanwhile, fact is stranger than fiction. Oh, sorry, maybe I should lift this up. All right. Hopefully you had time to read that. All right, we'll reposition this here. Let's see. I can't even pronounce this person's name. Callie. It says, this man has Asperger's syndrome. I work for disabled adults. I hope this girl is okay, but this man has a disability. He probably doesn't know what is socially acceptable, etc. No, I do know what's socially acceptable. It's all bias. I know that it's okay for these people to threaten me for an entire year before Natalie died. I know that it was all right for these people to assault me for an entire year before Natalie died. I know that it was all right for people to ignore me for an entire year before Natalie died. I know that it's okay for people to play video games rather than keep their word. I know that it's okay for people to steal my money because they can call me mentally ill and it magically makes it okay. I know it's socially acceptable. It's socially acceptable if you're a woman. It's not socially acceptable if you're a man. It's horrible. It's not equality, it's sexism. Anyway, she wrote, I really hope they can find Natalie, but please keep in mind that this man does have a mental illness and probably has no positive direction in life. I'd been abused for an entire fucking year. Before that, I was happy. Things weren't great, things weren't perfect, but at least I could see my loved ones. Now I can't. I've got loved ones in town, but for the most part, they're alcoholics who are always depressed. Why are they always depressed? Because their life sucks. They're Nebraskans. So they try to drink it away. They try to numb themselves with alcohol or meth. I'm going to like this woman's comment, even though it's not quite correct. And I'm going to type the word thank you. We're going to go up here. Let's see. All right. Amanda wrote, I don't know anything about Asperger's syndrome. I'm going to research it and learn more. I just pray she is safe and found unharmed. I wanted her safe and found unharmed too. Um, and then this person is apparently talking to people. He's got a mutual friend with me. Somebody who I actually haven't heard from in a while. I was checking up on her just a few days ago because I wanted to make sure she wasn't a missing person. I've had multiple friends of mine and friends of people I know who went missing and ended up dead. So anytime that happens, I check in on it. I'm tired of people ending up dead like that. Adrian Davis wrote, no, not this time should we give him the benefit of the doubt because of some disability. That's the thing, is that because of that disability and because I am a male, it's assumed that I am guilty. It was assumed that no matter what I said, it was some craziness, but it wasn't. I'm showing you all right now how honest I really was. Adrian Davis also wrote, are you guys able to see this? No, you're not. All right, I need to readjust this a little bit. Much better. Sorry about that, folks. I know people with Asperger's, and it doesn't make them terrorize a young woman by stalking her endlessly and scaring her and putting her through all this. No, she put me through all this because she didn't want to be honest. Because doing drugs was more important to her than telling the truth. Stalking? No, I was the one stalked. And in this series, you're going to, quickly realize that. Now, stalking her endlessly. Shit, bitch. I drove 1,700 miles to get away from her and her fucking psycho-ass family. A bunch of goddamn drug addicts and fucking child molesters. Hell no. Anyway, it says, and putting her through all this. It's no excuse. No one should feel any empathy for such a sick and disturbed man. You see, with the name calling, like this name calling makes it all right. Going out of her way to pretend like it's okay for people to treat me this way. She says she knows people with Asperger's. Does that make it okay to be like this? Does that make it okay to assume my guilt, Adrian Davis? Does it make it okay because you know people with Asperger's? Does that make it okay to call me a sick and disturbed man? Is that okay? Is it okay for you to assume my guilt because you know people with Asperger's? See, you judged me based on slander. And that's the most screwed up part of all of this, is that people didn't care what the truth was. They wanted a witch hunt, which in the last video, the very first one that was made in this series, you got to read from a guy who was saying that he was down with a witch hunt. He wasn't the only one. It wasn't just people saying that they would do this in groups, not just people who were saying they were going to do this on Natalie's timeline. There were people actually doing these things in person. Here's Brittany Smith. Wrote Adrian Davis, 3 clappy hands, my thoughts exactly. And you see here how it is a popularity contest. It's got nothing to do with facts. It's got nothing to do with who's right and who's wrong. I am assumed to be guilty because I have a penis and a disability. Now, these disabilities can be used to justify the crimes that are committed against me. But justify in that scenario is just a fancy word of making an excuse. Now, obviously, this person wants to use specific words that'll make it okay. Terrorize a young woman, so it's okay to do it to me, but it's wrong because Natalie was a young woman. Meanwhile, I didn't put Natalie through the shit that she put me through. Nobody was stalking Natalie for me. I wasn't even stalking Natalie for me. Now, you'll notice when we get to Tim Beeson's messages that Natalie, even though I told her that I walked 60 blocks, I posted on my timeline that I had walked over 100 blocks. And when she's talking to Tim about it, she says over 100 blocks, which means that she was stalking my Facebook. Now, I only call it stalking because if I do such a thing, it's called stalking. If I collect evidence, it's called stalking. And the fact is, I'm allowed to collect evidence. Let's go to the next one. Sally Kincaid. I think I know her. Sally Kincaid wrote, guess what? Nope, different Kincaid. The Kincaid I know is, I think, Crystal Kincaid. Anyway, it said, guess what? My kid has Asperger's. He's not a psycho, stalker, crazy. Neither are most of the people with Asperger's we know, and we know a lot. This creep is a stalker. He's scary. She was terrified of him. Now she's missing. Says a lot. No pity for creep. And see, there you go with another excuse. Now she tries all of this psycho, stalker, crazy, so on and so forth, assuming my guilt. And at no point in time have I ever been allowed to defend myself against this. This woman right here, Sally Kincaid, is a horrible excuse for a human being. She didn't care what the truth was. She wanted a scapegoat. She wanted someone that she could take out her shitty goddamn life on. Scary? You goddamn right I'm scary. You rape kids, I'm going to say something. You better be fucking afraid. You assault disabled people, I'm going to say something. So you better be fucking afraid. You don't need to be afraid of me showing up at your house with a shotgun. You don't need to worry about me driving through a crowd that you're in and running a bunch of people over. What you need to worry about is me telling the fucking truth. That's what makes me scary. It says she was terrified of them. No, the fuck she wasn't. She was afraid of the truth. She was afraid that she would get in trouble, and she didn't want the trouble. She didn't want consequences. Like most women in the United States, she doesn't believe that she should have consequences. And then, of course, there's the calling me a creep thing. You know what? Screaming for help doesn't make me a creep. Now let's go to this one, Frida West Sullivan. Now let's read this one. This is obviously a thing from me. It says, this is December 17th. This is the day after the protection order. It says, I'm not bothered by a restraining order. I'm bothered by the acceptability of victimizing those with Asperger's. I am bothered by the sexist nature of this harassment. Now, mind you, this is before she was killed. It says, I am bothered by the fact that nobody gives a shit because I am not pretty. I am bothered by the fact that this shit has been happening for over a year. And I am bothered because now there will be no end to my panic attacks. I don't want another year of this. Unfortunately, autism doesn't just magic itself away. And the shit that triggers me continues to do so until resolved. So as much as, I should probably show you up here, December 17th, Natalie was killed 12 days later. Sorry. She was killed on the 19th, the day after she went missing. Let's go to the next one, if it'll let me. Next one says, to end my panic attacks. I don't want another year of this. Unfortunately, autism doesn't just magic itself away, and the shit that triggers me continues to do so until resolved. So, as much as I am not willing to harm Natalie, she is willing to harm me. She isn't willing to call off the dogs, and I'm tired of being surrounded by immoral pieces of shit who are too busy chasing pretty to have any morality. Yet, if you are pretty, you are somehow absolved of this. No, I just want it to end. I deserve it to end. And to this day, I still deserve that. I suppose I should probably show this. See all photos. They're friends, mutual friends, Bobby Forrest. Let's see. Slide this over. And we'll read about Christina Cauteleso. And she was typing to Adrian Davis. It says, Adrian Davis, an old friend, had it, and he was so psycho abusive and controlling to my ex-childhood best friend. They dated 4 years. He has beat up his mom tons of times and has horrible anger. I'm sure this dude did it. And of course, these people were all wrong, but they were abusing me. Not just the people on the internet. I had to deal with people in real life doing this to me. This was on Denver News, all of the news stations. And of course, these people were all wrong. We're going to click the ha-ha button. Jamaica Janae wrote, okay, but you see what's wrong with grouping all people with Asperger's in the same group, right? My brother and uncle both have it, and they're the sweetest guys you will ever meet. You can't blame a disability for the actions of a few. Here's the thing, I was being abused because of my disabilities. My disabilities were used as an excuse for all of the crimes committed against me and to ignore all of the crimes against me and pretend that I made them up. They wanted to pretend that all of this stuff that's here, all of the things that these people typed, and all of the things that people in real life did, which mirror the things on the internet, except on the internet, these people can't assault me. Of course, they call me schizophrenic, and magically, people pretend like all of this stuff that I've been telling you, I'm literally showing it to you right now. Does it look like I'm schizophrenic, or did these people actually type these things? Did these people actually do these things? Well, in this series, you're going to get to realize how honest I have been. Allison West Haynes types, whether he is guilty or not, he likely has other mental disorders besides Asperger's. To my knowledge, violence to this extent isn't usually caused by Asperger's. Personality disorder of some kind is more likely. And here's the thing, there was no violence. None. No violence. You can't blame any of the violence on Asperger's because there was none. Well, none from me anyway. I was repeatedly assaulted by law enforcement, repeatedly shipped out of jurisdiction for trying to turn in law enforcement, repeatedly charged with crimes that were not committed. Fucked up situation. Terry Brownglass wrote she was found murdered. And then it says Amanda was found murdered. Who's Amanda? And then here I wrote, Amanda Charpentier, do you think it is wrong for you to defend yourself? Or do you think it is wrong to defend yourself? Or just wrong for me? Do you think I'm a bad person because I'm against killing? I've been victimized for 5 years over slander. Calling me creepy doesn't change the facts. And then I wrote, Adrienne Davis, Natalie and her friends and family stalked me for over a year before she was killed, and I get treated like a monster for speaking out. You are one of thousands who show there is no justice. You just pick a homeless male to blame, and it makes everything fine in your mind. You are the sick and disturbed one. I wrote to Allison West Haynes, and what violence did you want to blame me for? You assumed my guilt. Your assumptions don't change the facts. I wrote to Jamaica Janae. I wrote, exactly. But here we are, using disabilities as an excuse to abuse an innocent man. Amanda Charpentier wrote, Sean Schwartz, this is over 3 years old. Nobody is talking about you anymore. We put it in the past. You should as well. And and rip Natalie Bollinger. Here's the thing, is that the people that I know in real life, it's not like these goddamn nut jobs who wanted to get on and assume somebody's guilt and be complete and total asshats for years, literally years. The people that I know in real life is the issue. People who I have known for years, who threaten me, who throw things at me, who scream profanities at me, who assault me, all because I was never allowed to show the truth. I was never allowed to show my side. The media didn't care what I had to say. The police didn't care to look at evidence. The media didn't want to look at evidence. Nobody wanted to fucking look at evidence. Even my own public pretenders were working for the prosecution. They were not interested in the truth. They were interested in getting my file off their goddamn desk. I wrote, Amanda Charpentier, your ignorance is astounding. You're not the one taking the abuse. And then I wrote to Callie, I wrote, thank you. Tracy Lynn. Tracy Lynn wrote, I think he deleted his page, and I am sorry. I would get the damn feds involved seriously. You know what, Tracy Lynn? I was trying to get the feds involved. Matter of fact, both of Natalie Bollinger's ex-stepmothers were in contact with me. They got in contact with me first, just like Rose Kelly did. They all got a hold of me first. Rose Kelly got a hold of me to harass me and stalk me. Her ex-stepmothers had far more screwed up plans. And of course, they followed through with their plans, and they were able to use people like Kara Johnson Miles in order to do that. And then they were able to wipe their hands clean because they didn't do it. Oh, we didn't do it. It was someone else. Yeah, it was their friends who they incited to do such a thing. Just like with Natalie. Oh, Natalie wasn't the one who was threatening to kill me. Natalie wasn't the one threatening to kill my family. Natalie wasn't the one who was assaulting me. But then again, all of these things were happening to me because Natalie Bollinger lied to these people. So Tracy Lynn wrote, I think he deleted his page, and I am so sorry. I would get the damn feds involved seriously. Call every police agency and speak to supervisor. I believe with everything in me, he has something to do with this crap. OMG, prayers and reposting. So really, Tracy Lynn's a piece of shit. But she wants to pretend that she believes in God. She is not following Jesus' teachings. She's not following God's teachings. So why is she pretending like she prays? And then here it says, he gets on Facebook Live constantly, and the day she went missing, he wasn't in Facebook from 4:30 a.m. until 11:50 p.m. They will get his ass, and I pray she is okay too. Seriously, he is crazy as bat crap. And see, there you go. And you notice, of course, it's the good quality entertainment for the whole family. Cara King typed, that is very telling, Tracy, and you see how incredibly wrong they ended up being. But it didn't matter. After they realized that I didn't kill Natalie, they went right back to the you're a child molester, you're a sicko, you're a pervert, you're a nut job, you're a whack job, you're a weirdo. I am a weirdo. I'm proud of the fact that I'm a weirdo. But the weirdo that you're inferring and the weirdo that I really am are not the same kind of weirdo. Now let's see. Tracy Lynn wrote, I have a daughter, and this is ridiculous for anyone to go through, period. So sorry. You know what, Tracy Lynn? If your daughter does the things that Natalie Bollinger did to me, she probably deserves the same thing that Natalie got. Now, I would prefer that Natalie was still alive to tell the truth, but I don't get what I want. Sabrina Chantilly wrote, his page is still up. Tracy Lynn wrote, I know, I found it. And then she wrote, he did it, and I swear Looney Tunes need to be put somewhere when they are out of control. And see, my guilt was assumed. I was trying to get a court date with Natalie before she was ever killed. I was trying to get a court date with Natalie for almost a full year before she was killed. I was trying to get a protection order against her ex-boyfriend, Tim the motherfucking bitch boy Beeson, as well as many of these other folks who are threatening and harassing me. Now, you will get to see those conversations here soon. We will eventually get to all of this. Anyway, I wrote, Tracy Lynn shows how wrong and judgmental you are. People like you don't care about justice. You just pick a scapegoat and call it good. I also wrote, if your daughter gets all strung out on heroin and spreads lies that get innocent people hurt or killed, she belongs in prison. Natalie belonged in prison. And you guys are going to get to see through some of this evidence that even Natalie's own family was trying to put her in prison. I also wrote Tracy Lynn. By the way, Joseph Michael Lopez killed her. Oh, I didn't put Michael in there. Sorry about that. I know another Joseph Lopez. He's actually a pretty all right guy. Kelsey Ray wrote, how scary. I hope you get home safe. Lamarin Christensen wrote, as posted above, she was murdered. So senseless and heartbreaking. I agree. Tracy Lynn wrote, he posts nonstop until the day she went missing. Then he didn't post until 11:50 at night. I believe he did it or had someone do it. Have them check his page. The proof is there. Oh, right. Let's check this out. Now you guys will get to see this actual video. It says, missing person, please help. There were 3 different people that went missing in this time period. Natalie Bollinger was one of them. And then Shauna Sinclair's daughter was another one. And then Mandy Singer's son was another one. Now, does this make me guilty? Of course it doesn't. Dang, that lady is really going to town. Holy hell. Huh. All right, let's slide it back over so we can actually read what's going on. Ray Colwell wrote, I don't know this girl, but something is telling me he has something to do with her disappearance. He should be watched and followed and have his door kicked in. See, these guys are all, this is, when I say what should be done, I'm talking about public opinion. This guy is talking about public opinion too. He has a very popular opinion. The popular opinion is that my rights should be automatically taken away and people should damage my property, kick in my door, and it says, anybody know where this guy is located? Because if the police refuse to kick in his door, me and my buddies will. Ray Colwell, we're going to reply to this guy. I'm coming for you and your buddies in court. Blam. Holy shit, that was easy. April Shelton wrote, he's still very active on that page. Lots of very weird live videos. Telling the truth isn't weird. April Shelton. She lives somewhere that I used to live. I suppose I should lift this up just a little bit. Well, close enough, I guess. Tiffany Marshall wrote, I just saw a post saying this girl was missing. I click her profile and see this post. Like, why the fuck hasn't he been arrested? I'm from Vermont and don't know anything about this girl, but clearly this guy was a problem and she clearly reached out for help. So that makes it okay to arrest me for crimes I didn't commit. See, I clearly reached out for help, and you guys are going to see that. When I reached out for help, I was abused, I was ignored, I was threatened, I was harassed. I did not get that help because of a sexist society. You see that most of these women are assuming my guilt and getting straight up nasty, and assuming my guilt and assuming that Natalie was my victim. No, Natalie was her dad's victim. She was Ted Bollinger's victim. She was Tim Beeson's victim. She was Rose M. Kelly's victim. She was Troy Bollinger's victim. And she was Joseph Michael Lopez's victim. Chris Matthews wrote, I can't find his page. Gabrielle Vasquez posted this up. Time to readjust this a little bit. Says, Broomfield PD just got a hold of me to tell me Natalie is missing. Help find her, please. Now, all of that stuff that they were claiming that I was just doing this to try to hide the fact that I killed her. Well, I didn't kill her now. Everybody is aware of it, but they still want to play the same bullshit. It's stupid. Let's be patient. there we go. All right. Sabrina Chantley typed still up. View 2 more replies. Let's see. Nicole Smith. She posted this. That's a link to my Facebook, obviously. Maggie Stone wrote, Nicole Pence, what a nut. I'm so sorry to her family and friends. Don't be sorry for her family and friends. They were all pieces of shit. All of them. Every one of them. When I rescued Natalie in Virginia, well, I wish I could share those conversations with you. Holy fuck. Amanda Molina. Oh, it says she's a crisis counselor. She typed OMG. Trisha had somebody named Brandon Morris that she tagged in it. Sierra Romero had someone named Tyler Romero look at it. Now I want you to look at this, where these people work. How many of them claim to be healthcare workers? Reading the things that are on here, all of these people are obligated by law to turn it in, but they didn't. They took part in it. Diane Hope put a few sad faces in there. Someone named Ezra Lumen put a period there. Lynn Jackson put a sad face there. Cheryl Borelli Guertin praying she's safe. Well, she wasn't safe. She was dead. I tried to offer all my money to get, you know what? You guys are going to get to see that video, so it's fine. Praying it's not her, so was I. Tamara Burkhart Viteri, praying it's not her. Brittany Dodson just made a period. A lot of these people post just a period there, so it's a placeholder and they can go back and look at it. Julie Piccone wrote, hey, she's been reporting missing to LE. What are they doing to find her? This is truly scary. I hope she is safe. She wasn't. David Dublow typed God bless. Well, that didn't help Natalie out at all, did it? This person, obviously, she's trying to get somebody else involved. Someone named Jasmine Southern Murillo. Haley Sullivan wrote, she and her Facebook say that she lives in Virginia now, though, right? So how could the body at Riverdale be her? Was she in Colorado? Rachel Wyatt wrote, she is missing out of Broomfield. Haley Sullivan typed, oh, okay. 9 more replies. You see how this is going to take a while? Let's see. Sabrina Haley typed, she lives here in Colorado now. Front Range Community College. That's the same college that Natalie Bollinger was going to. Imagine that. Brittany Marie Busser. Now this one's just the Fox News thing. I suppose I'll post it up. Might as well. It says, please share. Although she is an adult, based on her family's concern, police are asking for the public's assistance in locating her. See, she's the only person I have ever heard of that they started looking for before 24 hours. Matter of fact, they called me within several hours of her disappearing. Miss Peaches was there for the situation, and she should have come forward about it. On the bright side, I recorded conversations with her that proved that I was telling the truth. So I don't actually need Miss Peaches to come forward about that. She can be subpoenaed. I think this is one of the guys who has threatened me, but I'm not for sure. Felisa, Vara, TJ, why'd you tag me? Oh, wow, she has mutual friends with me. One of those friends is somebody who I helped to find when she went missing. I was also going to buy the very house that I am in so that she would have a safe place to go. Small town world, huh? TJ Johnson wrote, "You're on her friends list and you travel around. You might have seen or heard something. Anything is worth a shot." And Felissa wrote, "Fair enough." Kelly Conroy Lockhart wrote, "If you had someone stalking you, you might say you lived somewhere else on your Facebook page." And see, this is the thing, is that it automatically goes to me being a stalker. I must be a stalker. They automatically went back to that shit after they realized I didn't kill her, because then somehow they feel that it justifies the felonies that they committed. Some of these people didn't commit felonies, they only committed misdemeanors. Some of these people didn't break the law, they just had no morality, and they proved it. Um, let's see. Alexandra Dodge typed, "Kelly, don't try to blame her for someone stalking her. Nobody was stalking her. I was the one being stalked." Now, it doesn't look like Kelly was trying to blame her for anything, but Alexandria Dodge is one of these webnut people who is just looking for excuses. And of course, there's a lot of these people who are, well, trying to get their buddies to take a look at it, which is fine. Nova Wellmouth. I know Nova. In real life, she lives here in Chapel, Nebraska. We have 14 mutual friends, including Nicole McIntosh. Nicole McIntosh is the mother of one of my predator's children, and that predator is Robert Warnick. Imagine that. I like Nova. Now, here she is. She's tagging Jamie Curtis in this. Now, a lot of people tried pretending that I was schizophrenic because a lot of the people that I know that I spoke about have famous names. Jamie Curtis happens to be one of them, but she is friends with Nova Wellmouth. Nova Wellmouth does know her. Let's see, Caitlin Lawrence typed, "What the fuck?" Dim sum. There's a whole lot of these profiles that are their burner accounts or catfishing accounts, things of that nature. And there's a lot of them. When people get into those death groups, these people are infatuated with death. They're meddlers. They like to get involved and screw with people's heads and threaten and harass people. And they know that they'll get away with it because the FBI is not going to investigate it. Maddie Reynolds wrote, "Yes, there has been a report of her missing in Colorado going around." Kindergarten teacher. So she should have reported it as well. Caitlin Lawrence. "If you watch his lives, he seems really upset. I think he stalked her because, like he said, no one shows him kindness except for her." Well, that's not an acceptable reason for stalking somebody. But that's the point, is that people want to go back to, oh, well, she was nice to him, so he must have been in love with her and he just couldn't take no for an answer. No, we were friends until the situation in Virginia. In Virginia, we stopped being friends. And I am fine with that. I was not fine with all of the people threatening and harassing me and fucking stalking me. I wasn't fine with people threatening to kill my family. I wasn't fine with any of that. Nobody likes to be assaulted, but people sure as hell don't like being assaulted over a fucking junkie who lied. And as much as I care about Natalie, she was a junkie. Anyway, Caitlin Lawrence wrote, "If you watch his lives, he seems really upset. I think he stalked her because, like he said, no one shows him kindness except for her." You know, a lot of people showed me kindness when I was spending my entire life busting my ass to get people like Natalie safe. But then when I hurt my back, well, people weren't so kind. They forgot that I fucking existed. Many of the people who comment on here how they think that they know me are people that I helped out a lot, a fucking shit ton. But of course, it's magically okay, isn't it? Because I have a penis. Because you can call me mentally ill and pretend that I'm schizophrenic. Caitlin Lawrence also wrote, I guess he just wanted to be around her. He's mentally ill and has autism. See, there's that term mentally ill again. Repeatedly, you're going to see this come up as an excuse over and over and over again. And that is why it is worse than calling a black man the N word. If you call a black man the N word, you're in the wrong. If you call a black man the N word, you're the bad guy. But if you call a victim mentally ill, magically they're the bad guy. Magically they don't know what the hell is going on. Magically they must be mentally retarded. And that's the bullshit that we sell as a society. Caitlin Lawrence also wrote, autistic people have a hard time interacting with others and knowing what social behavior is appropriate. No, I know how to interact with others. I do quite well in real life. And it says, knowing what social behavior is appropriate. I know what social behavior is appropriate. What social behavior is appropriate is entirely dependent upon your looks and your gender and your pocketbook. See, all of these behaviors that were committed against me are magically okay because they call me mentally ill. That magically makes it okay. And then they're not going with an understanding of autism. What they're doing is going by stereotypes of autism, which is completely different. Caitlin Lawrence wrote, he really seems concerned for her well being. I hope she's alive and found safe. And I was genuinely concerned for her well being. I was also genuinely concerned for my well being and for the well being of my loved ones because I had repeatedly had people threaten to kill me and threaten to kill my family before Natalie disappeared. If they hadn't been threatening and harassing me when I left Virginia, that would have been the end of it. But you know what? Junkies don't care, and girls have no consequences. That is because of bias. That doesn't mean that girls deserve it. That doesn't mean that boys deserve it. It means that is what we're taught. Now, just because Caitlin Lawrence is wrong does not make her a bad person. Caitlin Lawrence wrote, he's mentally ill and autistic. They don't do normal things. He said some off things like people being condescending is how you create serial killers. Well, here's the thing. How many of those serial killers were ostracized, picked on, and bullied because they're different? How many of them? How many of them were bullied to the point that they had no choice but to kill their bullies in order to make it stop? How many of them were ignored by the police or repeatedly victimized and called mentally ill for trying to turn in their predators? How many? Meanwhile, all of the shootings that we have had in schools, all of them include psychotropic drugs. All of them, every one of them, every single one of them. These are the drugs that they're trying to force into my body because I tried telling on my predators. I tried showing the truth. And of course, that truth includes law enforcement repeatedly breaking the law to try to frame me for crimes that I did not commit. They did everything that they could to shelter the Bollingers and their hangers on from being held accountable for their crimes. And ultimately, that resulted in me having to commit crimes to try to get someone to do something. Now, here, Caitlin Lawrence is about to make a very good point. She wrote, your child doesn't speak for all autistic people. Now, there's somebody that she's replying to who is on my blocked list. There's quite a few of these here that you're going to wonder who it is that they're typing to because you can't see it. Well, that's because people like Sarah Victoria Funderburg and a lot of these other predators that repeatedly harassed me and slandered me, I just fucking blocked them. You can do that on the internet. You can't do it in real life. When people like Chris Kurth stalk you all the way to Sandy Fromm's farm on the other side of Lodgepole, Nebraska, in another county, yeah, you don't get to just click a button and block them. You got to deal with the son of a bitch. Anyway, your child doesn't speak for all autistic people. There are, let's see, can you guys see that? Let me see. Yes, you can. All right, good. I'm looking at it on my phone so I can tell if you guys can see it on the live stream. I have the live stream playing on my phone in silent. It says there are different levels, different behaviors, etc. That's right, Caitlin. Thank you very much for your education in this. It says court was today, if I read that right. No, it wasn't today, if you read that right. Court was on the 22nd. She typed, and that doesn't make you a bad person because you're wrong. She typed, maybe he didn't know to go, still considering she couldn't be there either. Maybe it got moved for the circumstance, who knows? I'm not saying he definitely isn't creepy or shouldn't be a suspect, but he could just be a mentally ill dude that got caught up in this. Well, that's the thing, is that I got caught up in this because these people thought they could get away with trying to blame somebody they considered mentally ill. Or they thought that calling me mentally ill would make it so that nobody would look. Well, guess what? Calling me mentally ill and pretending like I was spreading slander on the internet did not stop the autopsy report from coming out. And guess what? The things that she was claiming were slander were not. They were proven. Lovely, right? Diane Yoakum wrote, I feel the same way. He seems concerned at the same time creepy as hell. Well, of course I am creepy. I'm bald. I have a beard. I'm not good looking. I'm not 6 feet tall. But you know what? Speaking out when you're a male is not acceptable. You're not allowed to do it. But I do it anyway because it is my First Amendment right. Many of these folks did everything they could to call everything that I wrote, everything that I typed, everything for almost a full year after Natalie died, they claimed was spam. Now, until they changed the Facebook algorithms, these people were allowed to use that to victimize me repeatedly. Diane Newcomb also wrote, I hope they don't just focus on him though, because it could be a situation where someone took advantage because they knew he would be blamed because of everything going on. Natalie knew that I would be blamed, and she intentionally set it up so that I would take the fall for her death. She chose to do that rather than tell the truth. She didn't care how much harm she caused me or how horrible people were to me. It didn't bother her. She just didn't want to get in trouble. She didn't want the whole world to know that she was on heroin. Maybe she should have gotten off the heroin or been honest. But, of course, we teach girls that they don't have to be responsible for their actions. It's horrible. Christina Coticello wrote, he has a worse form of autism. It isn't just autism. I had a friend that had Asperger's, and he acted a lot like this dude. Hmm. Caitlin Lawrence wrote, there's different levels. My brother has Asperger's and wouldn't follow a girl across the country. Well, if your brother had only one friend and that one friend said, hey, I'm going to kill myself if you don't show up, your brother might go across the country so that she doesn't fucking kill herself, because then it would be on his conscience. Now, obviously, it wouldn't be his fault if she killed herself, But at the same time, how is he going to feel if she runs her vehicle into a tree after saying that if you're not already on the road, I'm going to kill myself. And then she tries to kill herself by running not a tree, it was a telephone pole. You guys will get to see in the messages between me and Natalie Bollinger that in the pictures that she sent me, you can see very clearly that it is a telephone pole. It says, but the way he's describing how alone he feels and how he's showing his worries are so similar. Well, duh, I am autistic. There are a lot of things that we have in common, but they're not all the same. And that's the point. There's a lot of people, Natalie Bollinger, for example, she said that she understood autism. She said, I already knew that you were autistic. I have a brother who's autistic. But then later on, when I was trying to get the violence to stop, and I asked her to put a stop to it and explain to her, hey, I have Asperger's, okay? I'm trying to deal with this, but I am being victimized for things that you claimed that you understood. And she said, you don't have Asperger's. I know because my brother does. Fuck you, Natalie. That ain't right. Anyway, it says, my brother has Asperger's and wouldn't follow a girl across the country. But the way he's. Oh, I already read that part, didn't he? Didn't I? Maggie Stone wrote Christina Caudalesso. He said in one video he has Asperger's. Anna Mandel wrote, Christina Caudalesso, you don't know what you're talking about. Asperger's is not the worst form of autism, just the opposite. Asperger's is at the top of the autism spectrum. Now, Anna Mandel is absolutely right about that. See, I have an IQ of 172. It's called the 99th percentile. The 99th percentile means that if there's 100 people in a room, you're smarter than 99 of them. The way that my IQ is explained to me is that if you took all people, all of the people in a room, all 100 of them are in the 99th percentile. I would still be the 99th percentile. That means if you took 1,000 people, sorry, that would be 10,000, wouldn't it, in order to get one from every group. The smartest one from every single group. Out of 10,000 people, I would still be the most intelligent one. However, if you look at the statistics, look up the chances of having Asperger or the chances of having an IQ of 172. Look that up. And then look up how many towns and cities there are in America. There is one person with my IQ for every 70 cities and towns in America. Only one for every 70. I want you to think about that. Anyway, it says Asperger's is at the top of the autism spectrum. People with Asperger's often have problems with social skills, which is true. It says they don't pick up on social cues, which is also true in many cases. It says for most school-age Aspies, they tend to fit in better with people older or younger than them opposed to their peers, and that is also true. It says violence is not an Asperger's trait, and that is also true. But here's the thing, is that this is the excuse, and you'll get to see this later on. This is the excuse that many people used, trying to pretend that because I'm autistic, that I must be violent because it is an autistic trait. And the fact is that violence is not an autistic trait, and it for certainly is not an Asperger's trait. Also, the way that she wrote this, it was that, well, basically the assumption that I was violent inferred in the way she wrote. I gotta end this video now. Y'all have a good day.